So today I just wanted to take a look at Pink Flamingos. This is the 1972 John Waters film, obviously starring Devine as well as other Dreamland cast regulars. So this does feature the, I guess you could say the early on trademark exaggerated dialogue. What also makes this very interesting is the fact that Devine's character in this film is known as the filthiest person alive. She has actually gained fame because of this, and we have a jealous couple who is competing to become known as the filthiest people alive. So this would be Raymond and Connie Marvel, which of course are played by David Lochary and Mink Stole. So this film was actually made in a time where dyed hair was not as common as it is now. So obviously these hair colors were obviously not common at that time. So there were no hair paints. So David Lochary basically achieved his hair color by using blue magic marker. Mink Stole used obviously red India ink, and that is how they achieved those hair colors. But I don't know if it's just extremely exaggerated on my part or just very dated. Maybe it's just the hair colors. I don't know. But for some reason, just the fact that they're at war to become the filthiest people alive, and their hair colors for some reason remind me of Team Rocket. I don't know why. Just super random, but moving on. So obviously you have these people who live very alternative lifestyles, I guess you could say. You do have scenes featuring shrimping scenes. You do have a fair amount of male nudity. So the Marvels, their whole claim to filth, I guess you could say, is they basically have their butler impregnate women so that they can sell the infants to lesbian couples. Obviously, at the time, adoptions were not granted to same-sex couples. So that was something at the time. It was, I guess you could say, somewhat of a social comment, aside from the fact that John Waters was, as usual, trying to be shocking. But you also do have Raymond Marvel on the side. He is somewhat of a serial flasher, so he obviously has an affinity for going out and showing himself to people. For some odd reason, he attaches a sausage to the end of his dong, so he just literally just ties it right on. I don't know why, whatever, but that's apparently a thing. What I found interesting here is that there is a scene in which Raymond Marvel does show himself to a woman. I believe the character is credited as Chick with a Dick. I honestly thought that this was a real-life hermaphrodite. This woman is actually a pre-op male to female transsexual who had already gone through the hormone therapy, which is how they achieved the breasts. Obviously, they still had the male appendage. But honestly, for the longest time, I thought that they were a hermaphrodite. I thought they, honestly, I thought she has a very beautiful body. But this is the first film. This would be Elizabeth Coffey. That she had done with John Waters, so this was pre-op. The second film being Female Trouble. She is featured at the ending scene, a female prisoner making out with obviously Devine's character. So that is her full female at that point. But I definitely found that very, very interesting. These were actually the only two films that she worked on with John Waters. But yeah, you basically have this Babs character living out with her mother, Edie. Most of you may remember her as the Egg Lady. She also lives out there with her son, Crackers, who is somewhat of a chicken sexual deviant, and her traveling companion, Cotton. So Cotton's thing is she obviously enjoys watching Crackers with his female callers, I guess you could say. But yeah, this whole issue is the whole competition between who can be the filthiest people alive. Obviously, this was initiated by the Marvels. Babs obviously had no knowledge of these other people whatsoever, nor did she care. She was busy living her own life, doing her own thing. And they basically send her an obscene birthday gift. Regardless, Babs resumes with her birthday party, which is a very fun and very interesting scene. You have a scene with a man who can literally sing with his rectum. You have snake dancers, as well as various other things. You also do have a scene in which the characters literally take poppers. There's one scene in particular where you can very much see Devine just bursting out into laughter. This would obviously be where the substance was taking effect. So that was not fake. That was an actual thing there. But yeah, there are definitely numerous scenes which, yes, you can definitely tell were put into the film for shock value. John Waters himself admits to having been high when he wrote the script, obviously not when he directed the film, but definitely when he wrote it. Definitely does show. But I love all of the creative and insulting dialogue. They come up with just very interesting combinations. Always a fun treat just watching a Waters film. Just the dialogue alone is very well worth it. But part of me, I'm watching this film and I can't help but think that Pink Flamingos was the Devil's Rejects before Rob Zombie even started filming or started filmmaking. You know, they definitely very much have that feel, just very pre Devil's Rejects, pre House of a Thousand Corpses. You know, I think if you were to look at the evolution, I can definitely see how a family could have started off as a set of Waters characters and have evolved into something more sinister. I can definitely see that progression. To me, it makes perfect sense. There's definitely a scene within Pink Flamingos in which cops are called during the birthday party, and the party guests eat the cops. They engage in cannibalism. You know, it's just obviously nothing is taboo to these group of people, which definitely makes them very interesting. One thing I did forget to mention, just briefly, I'll brush over it, is there is a incest scene between Babs and Crackers. Obviously, she is performing fellatio on him in the Marvel's house. This is not simulated. They actually did this, and John Waters himself has said that later he did regret filming that scene because both actors were actually friends in real life. They knew each other fairly well, and to make them do something like that was something that he later came to regret. But yeah, at some point in time there was also possible talk of a Pink Flamingos sequel, which would have been entitled Flamingos Forever. So it was meant to pick up 15 years after the original film. So we basically have Babs, Edie, Crackers, Cotton returning back to Baltimore, also with Babs's 8-year-old grandson, Dwayne, who also happens to be a transvestite. Why? I don't know. It's just a thing. And we also had possible funding, which would have been coming from Trauma Films, the amount being $600,000. Unfortunately, the film never came to pass because both Edith Massey as well as Devine both passed away, and they were key characters to the film, so the whole thing was just dropped. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely still get, you can still definitely read a copy of this screenplay. It's in a collection called Trash Trio, so you do have 2 other film screenplays in tow. But yeah, I mean, if you're curious in finding out what may have been that would definitely be an interesting peek. But, you know, honestly, I think if Pink Flamingos were to be remade in this day and age, it would be very watered down. It wouldn't be anything as extravagant or out there as John Waters had originally intended, which is unfortunate. Society nowadays just drowns in political correctness and social niceties and all of this other stuff, and you know, I think we're in a period where we need change. Everything is just very stifling, whether or not it's music, film. To a degree, a lot of things are just very stifling. There really isn't anything out there pushing the boundaries, influencing change. And I think that we are in a stagnant period in which we are in desperate need of cultural change, whether it's music, film, art, what have you. I think we really do need a change and a push to head us into, to drive us into a new direction, rather. But oddly enough, Marilyn Manson, in his earlier stage performances, did draw influence from Pink Flamingos. Obviously, the whole Edith Massey, the egg lady thing. So he would have nude, large women, I guess you could say basically just playing with each other in a playpen on stage. Aside from that, he also did sample dialogue, Mink Stoll's dialogue, from this film, the line being "Burn, you fucker," which was used in his song Dogma. So yeah, I mean, definitely you do have other people who are willing to draw inspiration from John Waters, pay homage, if you will. But yeah, I definitely think that we are very much in need of a period of change, especially because this is an older film. To some degree, I can see how, yes, it can still make more conservative people uncomfortable, but I think that's a sign of great storytelling if, despite how dated or how old the film is, if it can still elicit a honest reaction from its audience, I think that is a sign of a successful film. Point being, the ending sequence, which we are all very familiar with, it's something that I just cannot watch. It definitely grosses me out, especially because I know that the scene is real. It's not simulated. It is obviously the scene in which Devine eats dog shit off of a sidewalk. You can definitely see that she is gagging. She, at some point, does spit it back out. You can definitely see the disgust, and I think that's more of what makes me feel more nauseated, is viewing her response, in addition to knowing that this is real. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of analyses and whatnot that can be taken into this film. I just wanted to do more of a brush over, really, just because there's so much going on in the film. But yeah, I mean, definitely, if you guys want me to do like a scene analysis on any particular scene in this film, I would definitely love to take a look at that. And as always, if you want to share any thoughts or opinions, I would definitely love to continue the discussion with you in the comments section. But that is all I have for you guys today, and I will talk to you later.